Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today, our guest is Paul. Paul, how are you doing today?
Really well. Thanks very much for having me, Qasim.
So nice of you for joining us. So we are excited to have you in our podcast today. Let us know where you live and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Paul Wolchuk. I live in just outside of Toronto, Canada, in a town called Milton. We've launched a company the company's called iiCiNG, but their product brand name is called iiCiNG Flavour Shots. And it's a flavor shot that's designed to go into your alcohol the same way the Mios and the water enhancers work in water. Our product does the same thing, adding to your beer, your vodka, soda, etc., with a quick squirt. 0 calories, 0 sugar, and it completely flavors your drink like the water diet guys did with water.
Awesome, nice. So how are you advertising your products?
So right now we do a lot of stuff we just do some stuff on social media through those channels, whether it's Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and the rest of it is just through word of mouth advertising. We do some shows and events as well to help promote it on boots on the ground, trying to get people to do trials, liquid to lips and stuff like that. That's our main channels right now.
Awesome. So you are selling your products via internet, like via your e-commerce, or you are selling these products via stores and like retail side of the products?
Yeah, sure. It's mostly 99% of our sales are at retail stores. So we're in Canada solely at this point for the most part. We sell through a chain called Loblaws up in Canada, a grocery chain. And within the Loblaws banner, there's about 9 or 10 different banners across the country. So we're in about 1,000 stores across Canada. We do a little bit on D2C, very little. We do a little bit on Amazon, both in Canada and the US. And those are sort of those channels are some of the things that we're looking to sort of improve later this year and get them sort of become a little more significant than just the retail channels that we currently have.
So you started from all these places, or you started from one place and then eventually you reached other places?
Yeah, when we first started, we actually we got into we kind of did things backwards a little bit. Usually, guys start small in a few stores and work their way up. We kind of did it a little bit backwards. We got lucky with a connection at Loblaws, and they got us into about 400 stores about 3 years ago. And that's kind of how we started. Even though we did have a little bit on Amazon and online, it's still small and it hasn't really grown. We just haven't focused on it. Last fall, we were able to get another 500 plus stores. So like I said, we're close to 1,000 stores now. But we kind of went backward. We went to the biggest grocery chain that's out in Canada, and we started there, and we're kind of filling out from that point of view, moving forward, I guess.
Awesome. So what was the biggest inspiration behind starting this business?
So funny enough, I don't have a background in consumer products whatsoever, which is, maybe you hear that a lot of times with some entrepreneurs and whatnot. I have a packaging and a display background, and so a couple reasons why this happened. I used to look after the breweries in Canada in terms of their packaging, and then we had a co-packing business that we were packing a lot of flavored products from Labatt's in this case. And what usually would happen is that on Mondays, when the truck would show up all the product, one flavor was always missing because it was always on flavor hold. And over time, we learned that they didn't like to run the stuff, and maybe it's changed now. But some years ago, they didn't like to run the product. It clogged up their lines. It was difficult. It was small runs relative to the big runs that they would really run for their Budweiser or Bud Light product. And we thought to ourselves, like, why don't we just take the flavor out of their hands and let's put the flavor back in our hands? And so at the same time, my wife, she kind of would drink vodka sodas, and she's not a big drinker, but she goes like, why can't we flavor a vodka soda because it has no flavor, and the lime's nice once in a while, but it doesn't really have any punch to it. So we really just thought, why don't we just make like the proverbial Mios that are out there that are for water? Why don't we make the same kind of product idea and just make it for alcohol? And that's what we did. So we found a source, and we did all that work and got everything up and running to do it that way. So that's kind of how the product came to life, I guess, if you will.
Awesome. So what do you believe sets your product apart from the competitors? Because I believe there must be a lot of competitors as well in the market. Again, I'm not sure if you really have other competitors in the market, but yeah, if you have the competitors, then what is the main thing?
So it's kind of funny. So we have competition, but it's a little, but we do and we don't. So we get lumped in with the water enhancement guys because it kind of like the same kind of product, similar looking, it's the same application, the way it works. But we've differentiated ourselves, and what really stands us apart from those guys, because they design their stuff to go into water, and that's how their profile works. So when you ask the difference, it's completely by product flavor. The flavor, it completely jumps out at you. Most of the other ones have a different kind of flavor profile. Ours, if you put cherry or pina colada or root beer or creamsicle, it actually tastes exactly like the flavor, not kind of sorta 100%. And it also smells like the flavor when you drink it, or you put it in your drink. It actually will smell like a pina colada or a root beer or a creamsicle as well. So by far, the product itself is the biggest difference comparing to those products that are out there currently.
All right. So let me understand a little bit like how you define your customers. Who are exactly your customers that will be willing to buy your product?
So really anybody that will drink that drinks alcohol as a whole is really our customer. But our real focus is sort of the like think of the like, so we're in Canada, so the drinking age is 19, and if you're in the US it's 21. So think of that as being our bottom end, and up to maybe 34, 35-year olds. That's our biggest market, and just because they'll generally consume a little bit more alcohol than someone that's say 60 years old or something like that. It doesn't mean that a 50-year-old won't drink our product or use our product. They actually do. It's kind of funny because one of the things we found out doing shows is as many 50-plus-year-old men liked our product than a 21-year-old girl would like it. And they liked it for different reasons. But at the end of the day, they liked it because the product actually worked, and it tastes really, really good when you add it to your drinks. But that's our focus, is sort of that 20-something, early 30-something is our first category of market, if you will.
All right, makes sense. So, in terms of defining the goals, I believe this is one of the biggest thing for every entrepreneur, to define the goals. So, do you have any process for defining the goals? You just define the goals whenever something just pops into your mind. You just say, "Okay, we are going to do this."
It's a little bit of I guess both, if you will. So because of the background I have, we realize there's sort of a hole in the market that exists, that people don't have the opportunity to flavor their beverages the way the water guys are doing with the water, like the Mios, if you will, with the water guys. Currently in the marketplace, our biggest competition is really all the pre-flavored coolers, beer and alcohol. So all the RTDs that are out there. So whether it's a White Claw or a Nutrell and all those different brands that are out there's 100 of them. And what we found, generally speaking, is that their product, like some of them are okay, but a lot of them don't lack a lot of flavor. They lack a lot of flavor punch. And the other part is that they don't allow the customer to actually customize their drink. So but this is common. So you buy a product, you drink, or you eat whatever comes in that bottle or can or package, if you will. With our product, what it allows you to do is it allows, Quasim, if you want a little bit more flavor and your partner or somebody, your friend, buddy wants a little bit less, well, you can customize it. So if you want to add more, you add more. And if you want to add it to a beer versus your friend wants to add it to vodka soda or a rum and coke or so on and so forth, they can choose what they do with it. And so it becomes customizable. So this way it allows the customer to choose what they want to put it in, when they want to put it in, to what they want to put it in, and how much they want to add to it. So every drink, maybe everybody can have a pina colada, but it can have different strengths because of how you choose to squirt, how much you want to put in your drink. So that's where the niche is. It really allows the customer to choose what they want to drink and how much they want to flavor their drink.
All right. So, in terms of your short-term plans, what you are looking for in your company, like in next 3 to 6 months?
So one of the things that we're sort of currently in the throes of, we're looking for investors, just because in the CPG space, it's expensive to get out there in terms of just running your product, promoting it, getting on shelf, like all the things that kind of go on in a business. And then we kind of believe that we want to get our stuff into everybody's hands across North America, and then we can tackle the rest of the world after, because the flavor profile is going to be adapted to wherever we want to go. But we truly believe we can change the way people flavor their drinks in North America. So our biggest challenge is getting some capital, through investors. The rest of it is just really through a lot of marketing and awareness. So people know what our product is, because up until now, people are starting to understand what we're doing, but it's still a new category because people aren't aware that you actually can do this process, get a squeeze bottle and put a squirt into your beer or your vodka soda, if you will. No one's really done that before. So we have to sort of not only promote our brand and our product, but we actually promote how to use the product, because it's not a thing as as other things are. So it is a challenge, because it's a lot of awareness we have to sort of bring up and let people know how to use it and stuff.
So how you're prevailing this awareness, like spreading an awareness is one of the big challenge for every entrepreneur, I believe, wherever this
Sure.
is involved. But how you are handling it?
So it really is, because it's really through social media a lot. So we basically do a lot of stuff that way. So we'll show people how to use the product. So you can see someone taking a glass of, the proverbial beer or vodka soda, and you see someone actually just squirting, taking the bottle, and here, we're going to squirt this right in your drink. So then people get the connections by watching it. We're also trying to find some influencers online as well. So at the same time, we're using their platforms and using their audience as well. So as much as we can kind of find other people that will help spread the word this way, all these different sort of cells kind of spread out on a micro level, if you will, throughout throughout North America. That's what we're trying to do mostly that way, for sure.
All right. So other than this awareness problem, what is the biggest challenge that you are facing at this point?
We did Awareness is the biggest thing. Cash flow just help sort of spread to help pay for a lot of stuff, and we just need more distribution. So the more distribution points we have, the better for us. So, like I said, we're in grocery stores in Canada. Alcohol is sold a little bit differently, generally speaking, in Canada than it is in the U.S. But one of the other goals, if I will, we're just trying to get into more like alcohol-related stores, so the alcohol space. So, because the closer we can put our product beside a case of beer or a bottle of vodka or a bottle of rum, and so forth, then people get the connection by putting the two of them together. So we do try to we're trying to do some partnerships with different brands as well. So if we can kind of connect the two dots together, the more we do that, that'll help getting the awareness on how to use our product out there as well.
Hey y'all, it's Dan Melnick, the CEO of iiCiNG, and I wanted to share a special offer for all of our listeners. Right now, if you need software development services, we'll give you 2 weeks of a free trial. Do you need to update your website? Do you want to build a mobile app? Do you want to update something that you've been working on for a long time? We've worked in a high-level technologies like AI, machine learning, blockchain. So shoot me a text, 817-874-2208. Thank you.
Awesome, makes sense. And what about the long-term goals? Where do you see your company, like as a whole company, not just one product, but where do you see your company after at least 2-3 years?
So what we want to do is it really comes down to our flavor profile. So we have 7 different flavors now, and the one thing that we've learned, so our biggest sellers are the ones that are different than the water enhancer guys that are already out there. Like I said, people still associate it with us with water. Even our stuff works in non-alcoholic as well. So you can put this in your water, your soda water, if you want as well, and it works just as well. Actually, it will work better than most of theirs, anyways. But what we found is that the more we can kind of have flavors that are in the space that we're looking for. So we currently have a pina colada. So moving forward, we're probably going to focus more on flavors that go well into alcoholic drinks. So whether it's a margarita, a mojito, or a strawberry daiquiri, or even just straight up lime that you can put in your beer. So, like for example, if you have a Corona, most people cut up a lime and stick it in their Corona. Well, you don't always have not everybody always has a lime with them and a knife when you're traveling or going to the beach or going to someone's house. So one of the flavors that we want to come up with is just straight up lime. So instead of having to actually buy a lime and cut it, you can bring a bottle of iiCiNG and add the lime to your Corona, and boom, you actually can make that Corona taste exactly like a lime Corona without having to buy the lime, if you will.
All right. So in terms of your business, what do you think? Like, how important is your location? Because again, you are available on multiple locations. So what is the importance of location? Because in some businesses, location is a very prime thing, and in some businesses, it doesn't matter at all. So what about your business?
Location's important in terms of which retailers we go into, but it's like anything else at the beginning. When you're starting a brand up and you're trying to get some distribution, for lack of a better way of saying, you basically will take whatever you can, because now someone's actually going to buy your product and give you and pay you for it. So not to say that Loblaws is not our A customer, they're absolutely phenomenal. It's a place we want to be for sure, and we got a little bit lucky going to a big place. But so to answer your question, we want to be in places where the alcohol is as closely relatable relatable. So whether that's a grocery store that happens to sell beer and wine, or it's an alcohol store that sells everything, that's really what our A listing is from that standpoint. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have a presence on online, but we've done a very poor job right now getting it sort of up and running. And that's one of the things that we want to do later this year, is sort of revamp our website and get our Amazon profile up and running a lot better. So people that can't go to stores or don't want to go to stores, they can at least go to Amazon and pick up our product. Even though they do it now, we just don't have, our presence is not strong. So we just got to upgrade that presence.
All right. So, how do you define the success? Because success for every business, success may be different, but most of the time, this is tied with the revenue. So, I'm not sure where you tie your business in terms of success.
I guess it'll be tied to revenue as well. But at the beginning, it's like we'll triple or quadruple our sales in 2024 from last year. So that's great growth. I think our success is really going to be measured more so on our awareness levels and the number of distribution points we can get. So, like I said, we're in about 1,000 stores now. So our goal for next year, or moving forward, is let's grow 1,000 to 2,000, and let's get 2 to 4, and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be more along the lines of distribution points, and then push the awareness and the social media and the advertising portion, because those two should tie together and sort of help promote store sales and store pushes and store turns. So, which all revolves around or ends up being what your revenue kind of channels kind of look like at the end of the day. So for us, it's really just getting more points of distribution and more awareness, and the sales will drive through on those fronts.
All right. So, how the technology is helping your business other than this social media? Because obviously, social media is need for every business. But other than this social media, how technology is helping your business? And even if it is helping or not, I'm not sure.
Well, it's funny. So AI is kind of the buzzword of the last, the last 12 months. And I'll be honest, like, I think we've all touched on it. I know a little bit about it, I'll be honest, I probably know 1%, and that's probably good on a good day. But I actually think, so the technology, I think that's probably a really good front for us, because you can ask Chat GPT or various AI sites or whatever to help write copy or write slogans or write things, and it may not always work, but I don't need 1,000 different points of 1,000 different slogans or 1,000 different lines of copy. I might just need a handful. So I think using the AI tools will be really beneficial. So we don't have to hire a bunch of people. We can actually just sort of ask it, and boom, and it'll spit it back out. And so it'll be sort of beneficial from an employee standpoint, that we don't have to have a lot of people doing this stuff, and because AI will help us out.
All right. So, what sort of risks are involved in your business, and do you plan something about the management for those risks?
Well, I think part of it is we kind of just wing a lot of stuff to a certain extent, and I don't mean that sounds kind of really cheesy, but we started this business, and one of the things that's funny about it is everybody thinks, when you sort of you launch a product, you think that everybody's dying to buy your product. And you realize slowly that, like, no one knows and no one really cares. And it's not that they don't want it; they're just not aware of it. So, like, you may go to your grocery store, whether iiCiNG was at your store or not, you're still going there, and you're gonna buy whatever. If you happen to pass by something that's there that's kind of neat, then you kind of you'll pick it up maybe. But one thing we kind of realized at the beginning, that no one's dying waiting to have iiCiNG show up at their store. But so our job is to make people aware of what it is. So from a risk standpoint, we learned quickly on that, like, there's a lot of risk, because no one really knows who we are, and no one really cares about us until we make them understand who we are. So the risk is, like, we kind of gone all in, because we need to make this work, and we want to make it work, and we believe it will work. So the risk factor, it's it's a kind of put the chips down and went all in on red kind of thing. So and we'll just kind of make good decisions around that to make sure that we do our best to keep growing the business that way, and we don't falter.
Awesome. Yeah, risk factor is always there. The only good thing is if you can spot it on time, and obviously at that time you can manage it for sure. Okay,
And,
so
and I
yeah.
and I think part of the market as well, sorry, is with all the advent of all these flavored beverages, and the Gen Z, and the way like everybody's kind of growing through this sort of time frame, the taste profiles have changed a lot in the last number of years. And so you can see people, for example, don't drink as much beer, but they're drinking more coolers and seltzers and flavored stuff. And I think we're right on that. We're riding that crest. And to be quite honest, we actually came up with the idea long before a lot of these guys actually did this stuff. We just didn't have the size or the scale to be able to get it out there in front of and to be leading on it. We're just kind of riding the crest. And I actually just believe that like every time I read something about where profiles are going and flavors are going and beverages are going and what the market wants, like we tick all the boxes up every single time I do it. And we just got to kind of get it out there and let people know who we are so they can try it. And when they do, we find that everybody loves it. So that's kind of where we sit on that line.
Awesome. So, thank you, Paul. Will you please give us the biggest piece of advice, especially for our viewers who are going to start a business, or maybe they are struggling with the business? So, what should they keep in mind?
You know what? Have a really good idea, know how to execute it. Make sure you have some financing to be able to sustain it. That's one thing that we didn't do a good job of, but we've managed to figure it out. And you know what? Just never give up. And everyone will always say that, like most people will tell you you're going to fail. I just won't give up. I don't care what anybody says. And the more people tell me that I'm not going to succeed, that means I will succeed. So that I truly believe. You just got to really believe in yourself. And you know what? And join different entrepreneurial groups. I've done the same thing with the Founders Club up here, and because you really need to have. It's a lonely journey, and not everybody not everybody realizes. Everybody thinks that you're the king of the castle. You're the king of your own little room. That's about all you are. And most times you think you're not the king anymore. You think you're something less than the king. So you got to believe in yourself, be confident, and just never give up and keep pushing through. That's the biggest piece of advice I can get. And as I'm still on that journey and we still have a long way to go, and don't get me wrong, I look in the mirror some days and it's like, is this ever going to work? But then 5 minutes later, I go, I know it's going to work. I just got to push through because I had a bad moment, let's say. But yeah, that it's just having confidence and just don't give up.
Yeah, that's a beautiful advice for sure. So thank you, Paul. Thanks for joining us today. We are excited to have you on our podcast today. So at the end, will you please let the people know where they can reach you? Like you can share your website, you can share your social media handles, whatever you want to.
Sure. You can find us online. Our website is iiCiNG.ca. So it's spelled iiCiNG.ca. Or you can find us on Instagram at iiCiNG Flavours. So iiCiNG FLAVOUR for the Canadian guys out there. Those are the two best places to find us through those channels right there.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I enjoyed the podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation. Again, thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thanks very much, Qasim. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Take
day.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.